looking forward. Pete said he was really looking forward to hearing about this discussion.
He's probably so scared.
Yeah. Yeah, he did say he had some ground to make up.
Well, he certainly went from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Okay, so here's Pete's notes on the movie for tonight is The Road to Perdition. This movie came out in 2002. It was directed by Sam Mendes. Other films you may recognize from him are American Beauty, Jarhead, and Skyfall, the James Bond film, where he worked once again with Daniel Craig. Heading up the cast was Tom Hanks as Michael Sullivan, the mob enforcer for John Rooney, played by Paul Newman, and Daniel Craig, who plays Rooney's sniveling, backstabbing son. Tyler Lee Hoechlin delivered at 15 years of age what I thought was a brilliant performance as Michael Sullivan Jr. He unintentionally witnessed a shootout involving his father and Connor Rooney, which necessitates them going on the run. Jude Law plays a quirky contract killer hired by Frank Nitti, played by Stanley Tucci, to kill Sullivan Jr. and Sr. He has an interesting proclivity whereby he likes to take pictures of his work upon completion of the murders, I think he means. The movie had a budget of $80 million. It did $22 million in its opening weekend, ultimately grossing $104 million in the US and Canada and $181 million worldwide. The movie was primarily filmed in several cities in Michigan. However, the Catholic Church scenes were filmed at St. Paul's Lutheran Church in Beecher, Illinois. This movie was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, including Paul Newman for Best Supporting Actor. It was also nominated for Best Art Direction, Set Direction, Best Sound Editing, and Best Music Original Score. It won the Academy Award for Best Cinematography. So there's quite a bit more here, but I'll keep going if somebody wants to chime in. Oh, Gary Whitaker.
What?
Yeah.
I saw a little thing. Hey, look. Speaking of,
there's Gary.
Who is that guy?
Gary.
some travelogue guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
There he is.
Yay.
I forgot how to do this.
Yeah.
Are you home?
Yeah. Got home last Wednesday.
Good.
Wow.
So we started a little bit ago, but it's Pete's movie, and the movie is Road to Perdition. And Pete had some kind of deal he had to go to. So I'm reading Pete's notes. I'm in the middle of his notes on the movie. And then, did you see the movie, Gary?
Yeah, I watched it this weekend. I've been keeping up. I was just in a different time zone. If I was gonna meet with you guys, it would have been at 2:00 in the morning.
Rough, huh? Okay. So we'd gone through some of the facts on the show. Most of them you probably knew. But he just talked about the awards it's won, but he goes on to say in total, nationally and internationally, it had 82 nominations and 23 wins. So Pete says their other tidbits were Tom Hanks wore a prosthetic nose to make him look more gangster-like. The actor playing Michael Sullivan Jr. had to learn to drive for the movie, a task he relished enthusiastically. However, as a precaution, there was a stunt driver in the back seat with another set of controls just in case. I guess that's the kid, huh? The piano duet by Paul Newman and Tom Hanks was really performed by them. To create a villain that could challenge the physically imposing Tom Hanks, director Sam Mendes wanted Jude Law to seem rodent-like. In my view, Pete's view, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
My takeaways, the actors in the movie played roles that we do not tend to associate with them today. It took me a bit to reconcile Tom Hanks playing a bad guy, since his roles tend to be the likable good guy. If there is such a thing as a bad guy with redeeming qualities, family man, loyal, trustworthy, he nailed it. Similarly, and it was early in his career, but Daniel Craig's scumbag of a son character is a major departure from what we know him as today from the Bond films. I also loved Jude Law's character. He was far from the suave, debonair type we normally see in his roles. Wrote it like indeed. It was understandable that this movie was nominated for cinematography and sound categories. Visually, the movie had almost a black and white film noir feel. This was especially effective during the scenes where Michael Sullivan Sr. takes out Rooney and his bodyguards. In my view, one of the most powerful scenes in the movie. I also thought the scenes that were trying to convey the period in which it took place, the Hotel Geneva comes to mind, really took you back to the 30s, assuming we know what the 30s were like. The music during the entire film heightened the tensiveness, but when the scene called for tenderness between father and son, it delivered. The last bullet point he has here, all through the film, there were questions that needed to be answered. Would the mob successfully carry out the hits on the two Sullivans? 2, would John Rooney's love for his own son outweigh the affection he felt for Michael Sullivan? 3, would Michael Sullivan exact the revenge he knew he must take on Connor Rooney and anyone else who got in his way? 4, would Michael Sullivan Jr. choose a life in the footsteps of his father or take a different path? So in wrapping it up, Pete says, a final message to my colleagues at the LUFC. My apologies for missing tonight's meeting. My wife and I committed to a performance at Kaufman Center with my next door neighbor 2 months ago that I completely forgot about it. Had I remembered, I would have recused myself from tonight's pick. Having said that, I hope tonight's selection can now begin the healing process and perhaps my own redemption that is required after my previous pick. So, I don't think so.
He's taken a lot of crap about that, hasn't he?
Yes.
What was his previous pick?
Some movie about bird watching that was roundly.
Oh yeah,
It's
the
called
big
The Big
year
Year.
or something.
The big
Yeah.
year.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Which everybody really thought was really darn good, but we just don't want to. We didn't want to.
He calls it his moonstruck, is what he calls it.
It's a long climb back, I know. Speaking of performances, how was Bob Dylan at wherever you saw him?
Bob Dylan was really good. He led off with Kansas City, and that was the first night of his tour, and then he did almost every song off of Rough and Rowdy Ways, and it was a pretty good show. Other than I had to peer between 2 6'2" tall guys that were seated right in front of me, but it was a real solid show. His voice was good. The band was very good. It was a real nice show, and I think it's the first time I've ever seen a tour opener. So it was a good night.
he play guitar or did he play piano the whole time?
He was behind a baby grand all night long.
Okay.
He sat some of the time, he stood some of the time, but he didn't even have a guitar around him.
Yeah. Okay.
Did
you go, Bill?
He was here 2 nights. It sounds like Mike might have went the first night and I went the second night. I know I went the second night.
Did
Yeah,
you
I
like
was the
it,
first
Bill?
time.
But that's kind of what I was saying to my friends too, where it was his voice was good. I mean, it sounded like he did when he was younger. He seemed, I don't know, it was just nice.
Nice. Good. Sorry to detract, but I was curious.
Yeah.
Well, going back to Pete's, the whole thing, my only comment on the movie is it was, to me, and I don't know, of the 82 nominations it got, how many were for Tom Hanks, but my guess is very few, because I thought the giant hole in the movie is it's impossible for me to think of Otto or Forrest Gump as a badass. I could never get there. I think the movie would have been better if there had been somebody that's typically typecast as a badass who then softens up and you see his soft side with his son. But, he eventually, portrays a caring father very well. But the whole first third of the movie where you're trying to be convinced that he's a badass, to me, rang very false. And I just didn't, it's an all-star cast, and I can see why the box office did well with all those big names. But I just thought the movie fell flat for that reason. But I'm an unpaid film critic, so you don't get your money back. Okay.
Hey, Bill, what'd you say the cost was, or what did Pete say the cost was?
80 million.
80 million, yeah.
And it made like 80 million total.
It made like 160 or 180.
But I mean 80 net.
Yeah.
About 100.
100.
Probably.
The
Made
budget.
180 million. So it made
181 million
100.
worldwide, it says.
Yeah, that's why I think it wasn't a success.
Nobody liked it.
Nobody liked it. But I looked at all the Academy Award nominations, and the only category that they weren't nominated in was for lead actor.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at Paul Newman's IMDb. It looks like this was his last feature movie.
I think
He voiced some
was.
things, and he did a short or two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think this was it.
remember I said he was in Cars, but that was it.
Yeah.
He voiced it.
Yeah.
He was nominated for supporting actor, I think, right? And this,
Yeah.
but he didn't win it.
For this?
Yeah,
Newman? No.
Yeah, that's what you read.
Oh.
He was nominated.
Yeah. But I don't even think Hanks was nominated.
Oh, yeah. Paul Newman for Best Supporting Actor.
I don't know who won. What was this, 2003's awards?
This is 2002.
Kid didn't win anything or get nominated for anything?
Yeah, it won for some cinematography.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You got here. He won the Academy Award for Best Cinematography. 6 Academy Award nominations.
Is that the only one it won?
Yes, according to this, yeah.
and Jeff's question was, did
disbelieve Pete?
Jeff was asking, did the kid get nominated for anything? But I don't remember seeing
Doesn't
that.
look like it. And I don't know that I've seen. Have I seen the kid? Has he been in anything since?
Oh no.
I
Wikipedia.
didn't look up an IMDb on him. He was good.
So where did the story originate? I read that it was
different people.
Was it a graphic novel? Is that where it started, or does it start as
Yeah, that's what I read.
Yeah, that's what I read too.
I think it said that at the credits.
I mean,
And Newman and Hanks got a credit for a music credit for their song on the piano.
Yeah.
That was called Road to Perdition too, I think.
I don't recall.
I was going to ask Pete this, but Mahoney, you're a good Catholic. What does perdition mean in the Catholic Church?
Hell.
Well, it's not really even a Catholic word. It means perdition means that you are destined for hell.
Hell. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Hell.
Kind of a Greek, Latin thing.
Right. Right.
Who's gone?
Jeff
Who's
Arthur
gone?
just disappeared again. Oh, no, there he is.
No, he's still
Chris.
there.
Oh, there's Chris. I don't know who left.
I'm
Oh,
there.
Well,
Yep.
Mahoney.
Yes.
Yeah, Mahoney's out.
Ah,
So wasn't Perdition the name of the town that the
Yeah.
aunt lived at or something?
yes. Yeah.
They were traveling to it.
Hell of a name of a
supposedly.
town.
You must have offended Mahoney by calling him a good Catholic and he bailed out.
What happened?
that's it.
I'm out.
You and your damn church.
He said perdition, and that took him out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gone to confession.
Straight to hell. Yeah.
So what have you
Probably
guys
going to watch the World Series.
Could be.
Yeah, that could be.
what have you guys watched lately that you would recommend that I watch? That you guys have
Not stories we tell.
Seriously or funny? I watched Adam Sandler's Hubie Halloween the other night. If you appreciate Adam Sandler, but the best thing I watched in honor of the World Series, I think is the best baseball movie ever, and it's called The Sandlot.
Sure.
Yeah.
Ready, guys? You're killing me, Smalls. You play ball like a girl. It's great, great movie.
So why do you think Pete picked this movie? What was his did you say what his attraction to it was?
He put it on his list and got down to his short list. I know he loves the movie. I know that.
It does have a strong Irish component to it.
It does. It does that.
Very.
I think go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it very definitely has an Irish component to it. That and Italian, I believe, as well.
Irish.
On my on the last leg of this trip I was on, I met a couple out of actually they live in St. Charles now. They're from North St. Louis, and they have come to Kansas City to participate in, is it a parade or a festival or what Mike Mahoney, what do you guys do?
We have an Irish fest over the Labor Day weekend. We also have a very big parade on St. Patrick's Day. So it could have been either one of those, and plus we have Irish events year round at the Irish Center here.
I think they came to the Irish, whatever the Labor Day weekend thing is.
That's one of the biggest ones in the country right now.
And I told them I knew some Irish royalty from Kansas City.
Yeah.
And they were very impressed. And what impressed me was they have in their basement, and I don't know how you get authorized, but they have an official Guinness tap in their basement, and somebody from Guinness comes and watches them as they clean the lines so that they're pouring Guinness properly. And we're all invited to St. Charles to their man cave to drink Guinness in St. Charles. And I assume that just because of your status with the Irish community in Kansas City, I could get you a pass, Mahoney.
Gary, what's their name?
Well, everyone knows that you can't get Guinness here, that actually tastes like, at least I haven't found it yet, that actually tastes like Guinness in Ireland ever. I mean, I've gone to a number of places, I never find it. And when they pull it, they never wait long enough to let how they let the head.
Well, they're just not. They just don't know how to pour it. I mean,
that's right.
No,
and it makes a difference.
Yeah, and in the States, it's chilled a little more than it is in Ireland.
It's
Oh,
what?
that could be, yeah.
Yeah,
But it really
I
tastes
mean,
different.
yeah, it does. It does taste different in the States, but I mean, uh, doesn't take too much practice. It takes a little practice to know how to pour a Guinness correctly, but not that much.
Well, it's
Right.
legend in St. Louis that if you're a bar and you don't keep your lines clean and you don't teach your bartenders how to pour it and let it settle, they will pull the tap from your restaurant.
Yeah,
Ah,
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
it's very
I was
strict.
just in St. Louis. Huh.
Well, if you got a
My
Guinness, it's probably legit.
yeah.
My
We've had a
son-in-law,
couple. We've had a couple of master brewers from the brewery in Dublin come over to for various events over here in Kansas City, primarily connected with the parade, to instruct people how to correctly pour a pint.
Now, Mike, is that the 6 months? You know, it's like the half a year before St. Pat's Day. We usually do it, I think, on September 17th. It's like 6 months before St. Patrick's Day. You have is that when the big celebration is that you have?
No, we have it on Labor Day. There's a number of Irish bars and then some just general bars
Oh.
that'll have halfway to St. Patrick's Day parties here in Kansas City. But no, it's Labor Day because it was an available time to have
Yeah.
an event.
Well, you know what I loved about it too, the movie is, growing up Catholic, Irish Catholic, when we went to wakes, there was always drinking. I mean, there was always it was either behind the casket or in another room, and you always had a drink, to toast the person. It was more like a party, a celebration, a party. And it was kind of happy, which of course my Italian friends thought I was terrible because we weren't, throwing ourselves into the casket and crying, So there is a big difference the way the Italians and the Irish celebrate or go to a wake. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
Yeah, no, it's just that when I saw them all having a drink at the wake, I was like, oh yeah, we did that, all the time. Even at my own father's wake, we had bottles of Jameson's, in the back for everybody. It was just kind of, that's what's done.
Yeah, I just went to a fair-sized Irish wake, 3 weeks ago now, and they had it here. They had the wake and the body at our Irish Center here. In fact, we have an agreement with the leading Catholic funeral home here in town. They have a contract that they can use our Irish Center 36 times a year for celebrations of life. And sometimes the body is there, which was in the case of the one I went to a couple 3 weeks ago, and sometimes it's just a celebration of life. But yeah, the Irish celebrate life and the life of the late one.
Yes.
Was there ice involved?
In a vigorous way, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Was there ice involved in the displaying of the body?
No. No, we've gotten past that. Yes.
Okay. And we save all the ice for the drinks now.
Yeah, for the drinks. Yeah.
How about dice? Did you play any dice?
I imagine
I didn't.
Well,
Go ahead,
the other thing that I noticed about the movie is everybody in that movie is a sharpshooter. I mean, they are blocks and blocks away from each other, firing perfectly aimed bullets through the backs of car windows.
And they were Tommy guns. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing it's interesting, Gary, that you think that Tom fell short. It was because of knowing him. I don't know. I always think that movies like father-son movies like this I'm always fascinated by the relationship between boys and their fathers. I just find it's an interesting relationship. And I think that men have evolved and are much more open to being more open with their sons than they ever had been in years past. So with this time frame, what I thought was interesting is that because I look at Tom Hanks as such a warm, friendly guy, that when I looked at him and he was being so stern with his sons at the beginning, I looked at it as that it's someone that on the inside was a heartfelt person, but had to keep up this facade of being stern and never showing emotions and never crying, of that time frame. So I kind of took it that was for me it was like, yeah, for me, because I see him as warm, he was trying so hard to be cold, and I guess I took it as being okay. So interesting that we saw it a little differently.
Yeah, well, that's why you're wrong, and that's why it was such a box office flop.
Thank you.
I think about him in the context of the movie we saw. Was it The Bridge of Spies?
Yep.
Not too long
Yes.
ago. And he wasn't
Yes.
exactly warm and cuddly in that. He was a pretty calculating character, and
Right.
I have to stick up for him to say that he is an actor's actor, and I think he really takes on the role that he's got. I get that he carries with him all those other parts that he's done, but I think he's a solid actor who is able to put himself into character. I thought Daniel Craig did a great job of that too.
Yeah.
It's hard to be a sniveling guy like that, probably, and for that matter, Jude Law was incredible in that role. So I thought everybody who had a role that they were supposed to embrace and sort of take on certain characteristics did a great job in this movie. I was really
Yeah.
impressed with the acting.
Yeah, I did think all of them were really good.
What happened to Jude Law? I mean, he hasn't been in very many movies recently.
It was in Sherlock Holmes, and
Yeah.
I
Well,
can't
I
think.
think
Is that recent?
I'm sorry. Go.
No, it's been a while.
Well, I think the last thing I saw him in was that one with what's her name? I think it was called Spies, with Melissa McCarthy, and he was her boss, I think. That was he played a spy. Yeah. That's the last thing that I remember seeing him in. I don't know.
He was so in demand and such a good actor. I mean,
he is so good.
Jude Law, and then
Did the graphic novel and whatever the screenplay, were there any alternative endings, or was this always the way it was going to end? Does anybody know? Was it ultimate revenge on revenge on revenge, and everybody dies?
Yeah.
It seems like
I don't know, but I would guess just based on the name, I figured he was going to die from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, I seem to remember reading somewhere where, and I don't know if it was in the novel or whether it was just an option in the screenplay, that they had discussed and then discarded the option of making Sullivan Sr. an alcoholic.
So. Well.
An Irish alcoholic? Now, who's?
Oh God! Oh, so unbelievable! Yeah.
I've heard of such.
It was science fiction now.
Yeah. Yeah. Science fiction. Yeah.
I did see a thing that was talking about Tom Hanks' roles as a bad guy. The one we're missing is where he played Elvis Presley's.
Oh yeah! Oh yes,
Parker. His manager, yeah.
That's one I didn't care for at all. I don't know why, but that just missed me completely.
Yeah.
That movie?
You mean his performance or the movie?
His performance.
I
kind of knew what to expect from the Colonel, but he didn't really deliver that. I don't know what that was for. I couldn't figure it out.
That's probably just marquee value. He was covered in so much
Fat suit.
Prosthetics, yeah.
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 But I hate to go off track again, but I'm trying to catch up. Donna, one of the meetings you missed because you didn't feel well, and I asked Dave and Logan, are you okay?
Yeah, well, I hope it was a
spell?
one-off. I've been to 3 doctors and 1 scan, and nobody knows anything. So I just hope it was just a one-off. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah. We'll see.
Terry,
I'm good now.
Terry, Earth to Terry. Is your mic working?
Yes, it is. I came across this movie at the thrift store, and I bought it because it had Tom Hanks in it. I thought it was good. It gets kind of boring when the person plays the same character all the time. So I thought it was pretty cool that way.
A lot of guns, though.
A good cast. I like
Yeah, it did have guns. It had guns, Terry.
Yeah, that's right. There was a lot of shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I watched it 5 years ago, so kind of worn off.
He's changed.
How did you know 5 years ago that we were going to discuss it tonight?
I can see into the future.
You can see that far into the future.
Yeah.
He's a time traveler. Look,
he's a psychic. Wow.
I knew it. I knew it.
What are we going to be watching in 5 years?
Years from now.
It's a movie called The
Barbie
Irish
5.
League of Unpaid Film Critics.
Yeah, Barbie. Yeah.
Speaking of, talking about
Barbie 3.
I've decided, or at least I think Joaquin, is his name Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah.
Maybe the best actor working right now. And I saw a tease the other day for a movie coming up called Napoleon. Are you
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, that should be really good.
That actor, I can't wait.
That was a preview at the Killers of the Flower Moon. It looked really good.
Yeah.
Didn't you? I thought you said you went to see that, Mike.
I did go see it. I didn't see Napoleon.
And?
Not out yet.
Oh, there was a teaser for it. And did you like Killer of the Flower Moon?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. It could have been edited a little bit.
All 4 hours of it.
Yeah.
I think I heard on TV today that they were going to make a law that you had to have an intermission in these movies now.
Not if you have runp.com.
There you go. Have you heard about this, Whitaker?
I have heard it. I've not used it, but I know that they tell you where there is a lull in the movie so you can pee in your popcorn box. Yeah.
Yep.
Mike, Swedish Mike, did you use Run P?
I actually I didn't have to. Thank you very much. It was it was a victory for the old folks that day.
Good for you.
Sam,
I happen to.
Your bladder won, huh?
Yeah.
I happened to attend a medical meeting about overactive bladder just this past week, and the person there said that there is a kind of a scouting behavior that people with overactive bladder do for restrooms, and she quoted the Run P application as part of that discussion. I thought, wow, this is very timely.
Yeah, it seems like you have to load the app, and I hate apps, but it's just more advertising. So I didn't do it, Chris.
Nominees for overactive bladder.
Maybe another time.
OAB.
Yeah, it'll be advertising depends. Yes.
Oh God.
The very ending of this movie, of course, there was like a kind of a supplemental ending to it. Because and I even remembered that I saw it when I came out, but I was noticing like when Jude Law, they kind of left it like he could be dead, but and so
I knew he was going to come back.
You weren't supposed to think about that, and but anyway, so they get Daniel Craig. Is that because he uncovered all these records on him and turned him into Al Capone? Is that what happened?
He was skimming money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so
he was stealing from his old man.
Yeah.
No, he
And
wasn't.
his old man knew it.
He
His
knew
old
it.
man knew it.
And
But it's
let
his
it go.
son. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So
He let him get away with it.
turned him into Frank Nitti, and Frank Nitti greenlighted him to go knock off Paul
Sullivan.
Connor.
Yeah, Connor.
Both Sullivans, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they had the big shootout in the street, didn't they?
Yeah. Chris, I've not been on enough of these calls to know what do you like? What kind of movies do you like? And what was your take on this?
I didn't care for all of the gun violence, but I did start to like it a bit more when behind me, when Mike Jr. was taught to learn to drive. And it reminded me of when my dad taught me to drive, and I was probably about that size and could see through the steering wheel just like that. But that was a turning point because he was getting him ready so that Mike Sr. could go in and rob the banks.
Mm-hmm.
So you and your
And
dad.
I thought, oh, this is great. This is great. Yes. So finally, the son gets to be involved, and then he also befriends the people where they had to go to their house, the farmhouse, when Mike Sr. got shot to help him. And they made a note that they'd never had any children, but Mike Jr. was out in the field helping the farmer out there. So at the very end, he comes back with a dog and probably to live with them and help them paint their house and everything that they could do now that they were left this large amount of money out in the barn or whatever. So that was my favorite part. And I thought it was the turning point to the movie, and I liked it.
So you thought the violence was answered by the human side?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's lots
back up to an issue. We changed subject before I got to mention this, and it's called The Bus Driver's Friend. I don't know anything about it. I've never looked into it. I thought about it, but think about it. Bus drivers, they can't be stopping all the time. They have to go. If they have to go, sorry, you got to keep going. So I've never looked into it. I'm kind of wondering how the bus driver's friend would actually work. So
is it a device?
Yeah,
It's got to be a medication.
Is it or is it a
leg, could be a leg
or
bag.
do we want to even know actually?
Is that why
let me go
Jackie
look it up, see
Gleason?
if they got one on Amazon.
Is that why Jackie Gleason got so
You should
big?
do that and report back.
Yes.
We'll put it out
Yeah.
there at the LUFC moviegoers friend.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Now we've got merchandise on.
Yeah, we needed some merch.
We get up
Yeah,
with a logo.
And see, now you know why Jackie Gleason was always telling Alice he was going to send her to the moon. He was mad, man. To the moon, Alan.
Chronically.
I know bus drivers occasionally jump out of the bus and disappear for a few minutes and come back. They must know where the restrooms on the route are.
Do bus
I'm
drivers
thinking
have
of
to
like-
drive 8 hours, or do they only drive 4 hours? Does anybody know?
I'm thinking like if you get and you take a bunch of kids somewhere, seems like they get on with you for 8 hours or something. But maybe I guess they go when they stop for dinner or something.
Yeah, I think there's like a 2-hour limit. You can't drive a passenger bus for more than 2 hours without a 20-minute break. And they say it's for the passengers, but I guess it's for the bus drivers too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're on a bus tour with a bunch of old folks, they're quick to get off the bus.
That's right.
Hurry.
You want to sit toward the front of the bus too.
That's right.
Yeah.
You don't want to get behind the really old ones. You never get off the bus.
You never get off.
No walkers.
What did everybody think about the double ending to this movie? We kind of talked about the first ending where he gets even with Daniel Craig, but the second ending where he shoots Jude Law and he saves the son from having to do the killing.
Well, that's what I was asking. Was there an alternative ending where any of the bad guys survived? But I mean, it looks like everybody died except for a dog and a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, yeah.
Michael Jr. said he couldn't do it. So regardless of whether his dad shot Jude Law or not, he would have not shot him.
Yeah,
so
well,
I think that his fate was sealed, but Jude Law would probably have killed him as part of his job otherwise. So
sure. Yeah. That's a I thought that was the only, I thought that's what Tom Hanks wanted or Michael Sullivan wanted his son not to follow in his footsteps. And once he doesn't shoot him, when he says, I couldn't do it, I think Tom Hanks at that point kind of smiles and says, I know you couldn't. I mean, it was like he was happy that his son couldn't kill the guy, even though he had killed his own father. Anyway.
They're kind of like these little deceptions in the movie, like, you sort of thought Jude Law was dead, and then he turns out the end, and then, you sort of thought Tom Hanks was dead, and then he ends up shooting the guy, So it's like there was that going on in the movie too. I think the deceptions were a part of it, but anyway, I mean, I'm glad he shot him, I guess. I'm glad the kid didn't have that on his, on his soul or whatever.
Conscience.
Yeah. But
So I wonder what the old people did with the money. They obviously didn't fix up their house.
They bought paint.
Yeah, they were painting it and fixing the roof when Mike Jr. drove up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they wanted you to believe or think that they were completing all the repairs and very grateful for the extra money.
I missed that. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
They drove into town and bought a bunch of whiskey at the Speakeasy.
They bought some genuine Guinness taps.
They put in a pool.
I thought the kid as a narrator was good. And that seems to happen a lot in Hank's movies. I don't know if that's something he likes or what, but the kid starts the movie and he ends the movie and talks about, I spent 4 months with this man and I love him, but I'm glad I don't live that life anymore. And I don't know about anybody. I looked this guy up, what his name was, Hoechlin or something, and I'd never seen him before, and I've never seen him since.
The kid?
The kid. But I thought he might be like Ray Liotta's kid or something. He kind of had a Ray Liotta look to him, to me. I don't know. That was just me. He was a little impish grin all the time,
and that goes. I think the movie was well written, but I think somebody like a Ray Liotta, who starts off and you think he's got a bad heart, and then evolves as heartfelt, would have been a better pick than Tom Hanks. Mm-hmm. But that's just my bias going into it. And the scene that's behind you, Sanders, the rainy scene, the thought that went through my mind is Tom Hanks and Paul Newman are standing without umbrellas in the middle of the street, just getting drenched. And I wondered if the thought ever crossed their mind, we are multi-million-dollar movie stars and we have to stand here in the rain. Can we do this another way? I'm getting soaked. How about you?
Yeah, take 7.
It reminded me of Singing in the Rain.
Yeah, can we CGI this? Because I'm getting cold.
Yeah, if they break into dance, it's going to be Singing in the Rain right there.
Kind of looks like they're going to. Either that or some Mary Poppins thing. I'm not sure.
It was not a light drizzle. I mean, they are getting soaked.
Yeah.
Well, the contract calls for the water to be at least 80 degrees.
Was that right?
The writer. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. But I think that's what made it. That's what it was, such a cold feeling, that the whole movie. It was dark and cold and dreary.
And even when they were inside, it was raining the window in a very hard way. Yeah.
Well, they said the kids set it up with it was the winter of 31 or something like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if wherever it was supposed to be located, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, they were supposed to be in Rock Island, Illinois. So I mean,
right. Yeah.
Be real easy to have lots of rain in the winter.
Lovely.
Kind of a Chicago outpost.
Exactly. I was just in St. Louis, and it was just like that this weekend. Oh, cold and rainy.
But anyway, Bill, send a note to Pete and tell him it was a good pick.
Well, feel free, Mike. Just tell him right now.
To me, it looks like that scene behind Sanders is they're all marching over there in the rain to meet this spaceship that's just about ready to land over there, about half a block down. A big white light. I mean, fuck, there's no light like that in the middle of a town. They must be going over to see, Strange Encounters.
Yeah.
1931.
That was a little overdone, seeing as how there's a street light in front of them.
Yeah.
Did any of you think he was wearing a prosthetic nose? I didn't even think about that until I read it.
I didn't. Yeah.
I didn't notice at all. I just thought it was Tom Hanks.
I didn't either.
I thought he looked a little heavy in the face. I don't know if he put some on to do this. It's what, 20 years ago?
Yeah. Well, let's ask Dr. Copeland.
I didn't notice that he had a prosthetic nose. I guess if I look hard at it, I'd have to look at another picture of him, but the makeup was extremely well done, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got a pencil thin mustache, sort of.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew how to wear the fedora.
Hats were a big part of this movie. The hat and the kid.
Well, a big part of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I really wish people would wear hats more like those hats these days. I think they're great.
I think Frank Nitti was the only one who didn't have a hat.
Yeah. Well, he was inside though.
Yeah.
So I was thinking when Bill was listing Sam Mendes directed movies, 1917.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of the story of 1917 was based on stories his grandfather told about being in World War One. So there may have actually been some situations that were similar to that.
Jeff Arthur, I see you.
Yeah, I had to get my hat on.
There you go.
Cue the garden hose.
Shoot the fire hose. What do you mean garden hose?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put on my uniform too. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's either a motorcycle or a surgeon,
Or both.
Yeah.
Or both, yeah.
Hey, that sounds like a movie title there.
Yeah.
Biker surgeons.
Yeah, right.
If you perform surgery on a motorcycle, that would be a niche.
Yes. Yeah. Surgery.
While on a motorcycle.
It's a mobile surgeon. Yeah.
I got it. 10cc rider.
Yeah. You're not in love. Okay.
Sam Mendes only has like 10 movies, but they're all pretty good.
Who's that?
Sam Mendes. American Beauty, Road to Perdition, Jarhead.
Oh, Mendes.
Huh?
Mendes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Revolutionary War, Away We Go, Skyfall, Spectre, 1917, and Empire of Light.
Who was the cinematographer on 1917? I mean, that was the master stroke on that movie. It's the choreography for that.
That'd make a good movie, wouldn't it?
It's all one scene.
All one take.
Roger Deakins.
I guess tell all the actors it's only going to take one day and you're out of here. Get them for
Well, but they had to practice. They had to practice their, not screwing up. I think the longest was like 9 minutes. I mean, there comes a point when he's in the town and he jumps in the river. That's a cut. And it seems like I was wondering it as I was watching that movie, but I think the longest space without a cut is like 9 minutes.
But it still makes
it seems longer. Yeah.
He pulled it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bill, who's next?
I'm not quite sure, but this Roger Deakins guy, you gotta look at his filmography sometime. He's been in many major films. I'm not sure who's got next.
I think it's Chris.
Be me.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is my first time, so I'm a newbie here. But I'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said she's patiently watched how everybody else goofs it up, and now she's ready to goof it up on her own.
Now you're ready.
I tried to learn. So, all right, everybody, pack a suitcase. We're going to take a trip. We're going to go to New Orleans, and we're going to play and hang out in the French Quarter. This movie was made October 17th of 2003. So it was 20 years ago, basically. It's a high-stakes cat and mouse game involving an arms manufacturer. It is an adaptation of a John Grisham novel. It was directed by Gary Fleder and features A-list actors Gene Hackman, Dustin Hoffman, John Cusack, and Rachel Weisz, and many more. There's a famous line that has come out of this, or at least made notable, by Rankin Fitch, who was played by Gene Hackman, that everybody has a secret they don't want you to find. My pick is Runaway Jury.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So all of this is yours to watch for the low price of $3.99 for 48 hours on your favorite streaming channel. I watched it on Apple, but it's on YouTube as well.
I don't think I've seen it. Runaway Jury.
I haven't.
Runaway Jury.
Oh, yeah, that's good. It's really good. Yeah.
Yes, it's an adaptation of John Grisham's novel.
2003.
Yes.
So pre-Katrina.
I read the novel.
I read the novel.
I'm a John Grisham fan.
Yeah.
So there you go. That is my pick.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
If you go to John Grisham's house outside Oxford, Mississippi, he has a baseball stadium in the front yard.
Really?
Yeah, his kid was on a little league team and he had the money. He's like, I'll just put a practice field here. And his practice field is like practice field on steroids. That's his front yard.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
His own field of dreams, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think one of his early books was a baseball book, The Red House or something like that.
Painted Houses.
Painted House, yeah.
There was a guy up here in Kansas City for a while that had turned his backyard into a wiffle ball stadium.
Wow.
Painted Houses, I think, and the characters in that movie are like a lot of people in Mississippi. They were Cardinal fans.
Yeah, they were Cardinal fans.
That was the radio they could get. I've still got connections of people that I knew in Jackson, Mississippi, and that's their baseball team because there's nothing in Alabama, Mississippi, Memphis, or Tennessee, Louisiana, Arkansas. They're Cardinal fans.
Do they still have a Mets farm team?
They have a farm team there, but it's not the Mets anymore. It's a different affiliation. It may be Atlanta. Yeah, my first date with my now wife was a Jackson Mets baseball game. I invited her to go see the Mets, and she goes, "Okay, what's the Mets? It's baseball." She goes, "Oh, I hate baseball." Thought I was invited to the opera or something, I think.
Yeah, right.
Well, honey, you mentioned wiffle ball. Have you ever heard of Bottle Caps?
Sure. We played it.
Played it.
Okay, that was. I remember Walsh was big on that.
Yeah. We used to play it in St. Louis with Walsh in the alley behind his house in Soulard. Absolutely.
On the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Is that like pitching pennies, but you pitch bottle caps?
Yeah.
Bottle caps don't hurt quite as bad unless you catch that rounded or that rough edge.
When you hit
it
them
like a frisbee, and it'll
use a broom handle.
A broom handle.
Oh wow!
If you could hit a bottle cap with a broom handle, that's pretty good. You know,
that is good.
Thrown as hard as somebody can.
Couple beers in, nothing to it. Until you try to do it about the eulogy at Walsh's funeral was his roommate back then, Mike. You remember his name?
No, I don't.
Oh, I can see him, but I can't.
Jim, I want to say.
Jim McLaren.
Okay, yeah. And we were talking about that at the funeral, about playing bottle caps in Soulard.
I remember trying to do it several years later with some other guys, and the reflexes weren't there by then. And I'm talking like in our late 20s, probably.
Uh-huh.
Does anybody else have any other movies? And is there any score in the baseball game? Anybody know?
3-0 Rangers.
3-0 Rangers.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of recommendations that I sent to Pete, but I don't know if that'll do any good since I sent to Pete. But one of them is Dark Winds, which is a series. Has anybody seen this? I thought it was well worth it. It's about 2 tribal police officers solving a case, and it goes over 2 seasons, and they're each 6 episodes, so it does take a little time to get through it all. But it was developed in concert with George R.R. Martin and Robert Redford. So it's a different police procedural when you're looking at what's going on the Navajo reservation. It's the Res Police. So anyway, Dark Winds is one of them, and the other one is on Netflix. Dark Winds is on Prime, both seasons if you want to watch it. And then the other one is No Hard Feelings. Has anybody seen this on Netflix?
Yeah, I saw that.
Joan is watching it. I was watching the first half of it. I came in here to watch the rest, or to be with you guys, and she's watching the rest.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's a rom-com that stars Jennifer Lawrence and some new young guy I don't know. She answers an ad to from some parents who want someone to date their son and get him out of his shell because he's getting ready to go to college and he's never drank and he's never.
And they want her to date him really hard.
Yeah.
So anyway, it just for something fun.
It is fun.
It's a rom-com that lasts, I think it's about an hour and a half, hour and 45 or something.
Well, last night I watched the other original on Netflix. It's like Old Dads with Bill Burr. Have you seen that?
Is that a series or is that a stand-up thing?
It's a movie. It's a one-off. And if you know Bill Burr, you know he's kind of an angry, aging old man. And the whole movie is about how political correctness he's out of step on every step. And the story doesn't hang together very well, but there's some good lines in it.
What's it called?
I think it's called
Old Dads.
Old Dads, yeah.
I think he hosted Saturday Night Live last year or something. Bill Burr.
Yeah, he's done some.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
Anybody else before?
Okay, I'm gonna get out of here and go catch up with the game.
All right.
Tigers. Good to see Georgia.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
We want